Woo! What's going on, guys? Holmes Forum coming at you with a late video. We're still talking about the draft picks that the Detroit Lions had, Brad Holmes picks. Um, Better late than never. I know I'm taking a while to get this done, but just that's the way it goes. But the Lions did draft safety Dan Jackson out of the Georgia Bulldogs, another Bulldog in the house in the seventh round at 230th overall. Holmes goes safety in the seventh round. Former walk-on that earned his playing time at Georgia. A hard-hitting safety, special teamer. One of those no nonsense guys, no quit in him. 6 foot, 195 pounds. He's 24 years old, though, going to be 25 in November, a little bit older. That's 6 years he spent at Georgia. Like I said, a former walk-on back in 2019. Obviously didn't play as a redshirt in 2019 and didn't even play in 2020. I don't know if that was the COVID, right? Not sure if that was the reason, but he didn't really play at Georgia for 2 years. And then sparingly played as the years progressed. But he's got college stats for about 4 years. 140 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 5 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 3 fumble recoveries, like 4 picks. And he did start 19 games. He started 13 in 2024. So finally got on the field almost pretty much full time um, as a 6 year senior. Started a few games prior to that, and then he kind of had that explosion a little bit in his senior year. Now he's coming into a team. Okay, he's coming into a team with the depth chart. Safeties and corners. Our safeties: Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. Don't think they're going to be moving Branch to nickel. I know the versatility is there with Brian Branch, but he's pretty much our safety. And then Kirby Joseph, obviously getting that big money. And he's going to be starter for the next few years. And Branch will be coming up on a contract extension by next year, and we'll see what happens there. But I don't see them getting rid of Brian Branch. But then you guys got, well, we got guys like Maurice Norris, who was a former, I believe he was a UDFA a couple years ago or last year. You got Lawrence Strickland, who was a UDFA as well, Eric Hollett. Then Dan Jackson, the rookie out of Georgia that we're talking about. Then Ian Kennelly, another UDFA. So the safety room for the starters are at least lock stock, you know what I mean, with Joseph and Branch. It's not going anywhere. His real threat right there is probably Maurice Norris and Lawrence Strickland. Avonte Maddox can play a little bit of safety as well too. The free agent pickup that they picked up from the Philadelphia Eagles as well can play a little bit of safety. He's more of a nickel corner though. And then you got the corners: Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, Enos Rakestraw Jr. Second round pick from last year that didn't play. And then Khalil Dorsey. Rock Yassin, another pickup. Then Stanley, Thomas Oliver, a late pickup from last year, I believe that was too. And then nickel, Amik Robinson and Avonte Maddox. Could Dan Jackson be a guy that can maybe crack the cornerback room? He's obviously in the DB room off the jump because he's a safety, but could he crack the cornerback room or even get on that depth chart? What you're kind of getting in a guy like, like I said, I don't like to make these about draft profiles, but I have to tell you a little bit what you're going to get from these type of players. He's the guy that loves to play downhill. He's always looking for the big hit. He's got versatility at safety. Can play some free, play some strong. I believe he's better in pass coverage than he is in run coverage, but he's always looking for that big hit. He does play the run decently. But I think he's a little bit better. I think a little bit underrated, actually, in pass coverage. He kind of showed that last year with a pretty good grade in PFF. Remember, PFF is not gospel, but it is something that you do have to use as a guideline. Former walk-on, special teamer, blocked a couple field goals or a punt, 2024. So he's got that in him. Relatively healthy, man. He did have a foot injury a couple years back, but other than that, he's been pretty good. He did run a 4.45 at a Georgia Pro Day, so he's got some quicks. I think his original 40 time is about 4.6 though, but at the Pro Day it was a little bit quicker. And I guess he was looking pretty quick out there in rookie minicamp, which I will be talking about, by the way, in the next day or so. I'm just trying to gather up some more information. I don't know if it was a couple. I think it was a couple-day camp, but I'm only getting the 1 day. So, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And then he's tough and determined, and then I think he's a backup or a practice squad guy off the jump. Now, I really like the one quote he had. I caught the one quote that he was talking about. I believe it was at his pro day at Georgia. And here's his quote: "I just want them to realize how much I love the game. Sometimes you can tell by watching on film, but once you get to know me, you realize I just don't like football. I love it." And that was at his pro day. So that was before he got drafted and all that stuff. He's one of the people don't like to hear it. He's a Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes guy. Whenever you hear these guys talk, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they talk about guys that love the game of football, not just like it, not just going through the motions. Guys that actually love and worship the game, and it's 24/7 for them. Now, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are not the ones that originated this, obviously, but they preach it to the fullest. Since the second they stepped into the building, that's all they talk about is character, how much they love the game. It's not just a pastime. It can't be. It's a full-time job. It's 24/7. That's what they're looking for. They will take a guy that loves, and this is the thing, they will take a guy that loves football more than a guy that's more talented and is just kind of going through the motions. They will. That's just the way they do business. And Dan Jackson's that type of guy. Now, I'm not saying he isn't talented, but, he's in tough. He's in tough, especially with the starters. He's not gonna supplant Joseph or Branch. But like I said, his next kind of competition, if you will, is guys like Maurice Norris, Lawrence Strickland. Guys that can probably get beat out. Those guys are practice squad guys. Those guys are special team guys. It's going to be it all depends on what happens there. Eric Hallett's another one too that I think they picked up Eric Hallett I think after the season. I don't remember if he was even on the roster last year. But the safety room is, it's doable for him to crack. Let's just put it that way. He's not starting, obviously, but he does have a chance to supplant guys like Norris and Strickland and Eric Hallett and Ian Kennelly, who was a 2025 UDFA as well. So, but like I said, could he move the cornerback? I don't think that's going to happen, but his coverage skills aren't bad. They're not great. He's kind of like, he's a one-year guy. He's a one-year guy, man. 6 years in college, only 4 real years of actual productivity. 1 year of actually only starting. So he's in a little bit deep as it is. I don't think it's going to be a guy that's going to be a cut though. I think it's going to be a guy that's probably going to crack the roster. Just because of the competition alone. Like I said, he ain't starting at safety, but he has a chance to crack the roster at safety. So, with guys like Norris and guys like Lawrence Strickland as his main competitions as of right now. So we're looking at a tough kid. He's not huge. He's a 6 foot, 195 pounds. He's not small. He's not big. He's actually probably maybe even a little bit smaller than you want at safety, to be honest with you. But he's a football player, and these are the type of guys that Holmes and Campbell love. That's it. There's not much to it I can really talk about this guy. It's a quick video. 7th round pick, guys. I got one more to do on this one, but I'm rooting for Dan Jackson, man. He's a guy that, he's got a lot to prove. A former walk-on as well. Nothing was given to him, in the football world. He's earned every step of the way, and he's the type of guy that you root for. He's going to possibly be a backup here, or he's going to be a practice squad guy. I don't think he's going to be a cut or anything like that. So he's either going to back up somebody or he's going to be on the practice squad. That's it, guys. There's not really a lot to talk about Dan Jackson. He had a decent college career, 2-time national championship winner as well too. So he's got the hardware to prove that he does belong a little bit, and he's just a hard-nosed football player, man. And that's basically what we're getting, guys. So One more to go, and it's another Georgia Bulldog. We'll talk about him in a bit. I'll probably do that tomorrow, but I'm still doing the rookie training camp. I just have to gather a little bit more information. Stuff that happened over the weekend. I think it started Friday and it just continued on. I think I don't know if it was a 2 or 3 day, but I know they put the 1 day out there. Maybe the what's it called? Maybe the media didn't get a chance to see second and third day, if there was a third day. So, but that's it, guys. This is the Dan Jackson video. Dan Jackson, safety out of Georgia, a Georgia Bulldog. What do you guys think? Backup, practice squad. He ain't starting, but good football player, guys. 7th round pick. What do you guys feel? Don't forget to hit the subscribe on the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Really appreciate it, guys. Grit, Detroit versus everybody. Let's go. Boom.